We prepared ourselves at 5 a.m. on a weekday morning, packed our car the night before, and got up before it was light and headed toward the hospital. It was a strange feeling because Monica had to prepare separately and I had to prepare separately, getting scrubbed down and putting the whole suit on of scrubs and shoes and mask and everything. And I remember going into the OR for the birth, and I was able to sit at Monica's head.
We were really excited to, first of all, find out if she was going to be a boy or a girl, because we had chosen not to find out. And I wasn't too surprised that it was a girl. I had a feeling that it was going to be a girl. But
Remember, I wanted to be very careful that I made the right call, that it was whether it was a boy or a girl, because I had heard of people messing up with that before.
Craig had announced, what she was. They swaddled her up and they unstrapped one of my arms and let me kind of hold her as best as I could on an operating table. So I didn't get to see her too long, and then they had to take her, and I guess I knocked out, fell asleep from all the drugs.
As soon as she was born, her oxygen levels dropped, and so they had to take her to the nursery, and after they were cleaning her up, they had to put oxygen on her. So immediately from that time, Monica was in the recovery room and I was with Asha, so I felt like I was kind of there with her, just holding her hand the whole time from that point on, and she just seemed like a fighter at that point.
She was extremely cute and still is.
Asha and I have a deep bond, I think. I developed pretty quickly.
We didn't know when she was born that there were any problems. My sister had a baby almost the same age, 10 days apart, and we had gone down to visit her, and I was like, wow, her son is a lot stronger. She had really low muscle tone, was really floppy, and no one seemed to be able to figure out why and what caused that.
Asha's been diagnosed with several things along the way. One of the first things that presented was hypotonia, which is her muscles being very low-toned and kind of mushy, and her not having much head control. And the second big things that we came across was she had hypothyroidism, where her thyroid wasn't producing growth hormone at the rate that a normal developing child would. We had an MRI done, and at that point they found out that the corpus callosum, which is the piece in her brain that connects the two halves of the brain, it was only partially developed, and they call it partial agenesis of the corpus callosum.
A lot of her motor milestones have come later, or not at all yet. She's unable to verbally communicate, but she is able to use sign language to communicate to us and to other people. She has they call it an AAC device, augmentative alternative communication. It's basically like a computer tablet touchscreen that has picture icons on it as well as the word, and when she pushes icon, it says the word out loud with a computerized voice, and she can formulate sentences and then push the top row and say a whole sentence at once. So she's been working a lot through speech therapy to communicate in different ways. They've always tried to get her to vocalize and verbalize, but not a whole lot of intelligible speech, or really no intelligible speech is available to her. She marks some syllables and makes a lot of sounds and is trying to speak a lot more now than she ever used to. It was definitely a process of learning and accepting. At first, I just kind of wrote it off, like she's just one of those kids that does things a couple months late, no big deal. But as time went on, certain things were taking longer and longer. She didn't start walking until soon, a couple months after she turned 2. But that was after a lot of work, a lot of therapy, a lot of me working with her outside of therapy, things like that. Good job, Asha.
The inevitable question is, why does this happen to our child? Or, how could God let this happen? The best answer I have for that at this point, and what we try to cling to, is that God does all things for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And sometimes that that can be just a verse that you hear, but for us it either has to be, do we believe that or not? And so I believe that God's working purpose. He has purposes in us, that he's working things out in us that we don't understand and we don't see. And he may have other purposes and other ways that he's getting glory through Asha's life that we don't see or understand. And maybe he's bringing perfection and trying to work perfection in us that we would have no idea that we needed to work on before in us. And so I feel like that's something that we're constantly learning and working through. And it's really challenged us. Do we believe God for what he says? And do we have faith that he's going to, at some time in the future, make all things right? And it's given us, as her name pointed out, it's given us a hope for the things of the future and the time when Asha speaks freely and when she sings with her own voice and when she dances without any inhibitions or any kind of restraint. You know, we have a hope for those things in the future. So I think that's one of the things that has been something that we haven't learned fully, but we're learning more and more about as we go.
She has dark brown curly hair, which is part of what I think makes everyone smile at her and see her as endearing.
Some of my favorite things that Asha does is just her smile, the way she'll look at you and just get a big grin on her face. She has great dimples that really accentuate her smile.
She doesn't have a lot of inhibitions, so she's not really worried about what people think of her. So I've always admired that.
Wherever we go, more people know Asha than know us, and we'll walk down the hallway of her school and every person that walks by says, "Oh, hi Asha, how are you today?" And or if we would go to a therapy clinic, everybody knew Asha, including the children and the parents, and it just always seemed like she brought a smile to their face. That's something I love about Asha. She just has this ability to make people smile, whether it's by her just walking through with a big grin on her face, or the way she dances, or the way that she feels comfortable enough just to come up to you at a restaurant and eat food off of your plate. You know? So she's just really, the middle name Joy just really rings true with her, because she seems to bring joy to people around her.
She loves being around other kids, even though she doesn't always quite know what to do in certain situations. She doesn't let that bother her. She'll just kind of jump right in and wave hi to kids and kind of jump in and try to do what they're doing, even if it's something she's not quite sure of how to do. So I've always admired her confidence in herself and just not worrying about what other people think. When she does accomplish a new skill, it's really exciting. She's very proud of herself.
One of the special moments with Asha came when we found out that she could read. We didn't know that initially. She had always liked to look through the books, and even she would take out the automotive section of the Sunday paper and look through that, and it seemed like she was looking at the words, but we weren't quite sure. And one day Monica had her flashcards, and she tried to ask her what this word was, and Asha looked up from what she was doing and signed that word. And so Monica tried another one, and Asha signed the other one, and it kept going. We discovered that she did know how to read these words.
What does that word say? Cheek! Good job. What does this word say? Oh, you want to look at the picture? Crawling. Good job.
Never take anything for granted now with the development of any child, and especially our own. It's been, we celebrate quite a bit when a milestone comes along with Asha. When she first learned to walk, it was amazing. When she first started to run, it was amazing. When we found out she could read, it was amazing. With our second daughter, Hannah, her milestones and the things that she's now doing, we're just in awe of. We're in amazement, because when Hannah learned to walk and it came so easy for her, we were just amazed, because we understand a little bit more now about exactly how everything has to be working in unison and harmony for that to happen. One of the things that we benefited most from in learning about some of Asha's challenges was I believe that God sovereignly had Monica as a physical therapist before. She had been working with kids 0 to 3 years old. She knew the places to ask and the questions to ask, the people to pursue. So we were really blessed to have contact with someone that was already in the early intervention program. Initially, as we were seeing a physical therapist for a physical need that Asha had that was not that uncommon, as she was getting treatments from that, Monica kept asking questions to the physical therapy. What about this? Doesn't this seem like it's a little off? And it was those questions that really started to take us down the path of, we need to get this checked out, and what about that?
When parents have any questions in their mind or a gut feeling about something, it's up to them more than the doctor.
Another tool that we found valuable as well is talking to other parents in the waiting rooms. You start to see some of the same parents, and you see other people are in the same situation, and we're all looking for, places to, clinics to go to, places we would recommend, schools especially. That's been a big factor of late. The temptation is to compare her and to look at her peers, and she has a cousin on either side of the family that are almost exactly the same age, and it's important for me not to say, well, look at her cousin here or look at her cousin there, but just to be really excited about where Asha is and the progress she's making, and how proud I am of her for what she's doing on her own. I think that's really helped me to bring that focus in there.
We're thrilled that she's often making progress. Having 2 younger sisters has definitely helped bring her out of her shell more.
She is very sociable. She loves to be around people, and she'll interact with adults as well as children. I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give would be, especially as a dad, I think the natural tendency is to want to control everything and to want to fix things. And I think that it's difficult for me as a dad not to just be able to fix and make things right, or to find out what that magic formula is to make things right or to correct things. It's helped me, and I'm working through this and learning this, is just to really celebrate who Asha is and where she is, and to focus on what's next for her, and to be excited about that, and to encourage her. And no matter what level she is or where she is in the developmental process, I just want her to know that she's very much loved by us. And so I think that's something as a dad that I have a lot of control over, is just loving her as much as I can and as much as I do, and letting her know that, and just being an encouragement to her. That's very important to me.